Hello, everyone in Facebook Live land. It's Lance Allan, TMJ4 Sports. We are Facebook Live, TMJ4.com, TMJ4 News, and TMJ4 Sports. As you can well imagine, most of my day has now been, basically occupied by the Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee appearance. We knew it was going to happen today at noon, and some revealing comments. At first, he mainly talked about his darkness retreat and things of that ilk, but then it became more real. Aaron Rodgers even say today was not the decision day. It actually came a few days ago. So you're thinking, okay, he knows what it is. What is it? And then eventually he spilled the beans and said, since Friday, I have known that my intention is to play for the New York Jets. And then he also mentioned that he is not the holdup in the trade being finalized. He is claiming, and this is the words of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm always cautious to say and implicitly say that when you are a journalist and when you're doing stories, you try to get both sides of the equation, both sides of the issue. We've not heard from the Packers as of yet. Obviously, he is still a member of the Green Bay Packers, so they're not obliged to, speak on the situation at this point until a trade goes down. But Aaron Rodgers basically saying like he is not the holdup, and that the Packers waiting for more compensation from the New York Jets is the holdup. To which I would argue, or I would say, of my opinion, is that why wouldn't the Packers try to get as much as they can for a four-time MVP and an 18-year NFL quarterback when the Jets have had massive issues at quarterback and are looking for someone to finally lead them into the future, kind of like what they did 2008, 15 years ago with another Packers quarterback by the name of Brett Favre that they traded for. So that is where we stand right now. Pat McAfee show is over. Aaron Rodgers, his intention is to play in New York for the Jets. We already know that Allan Lazard has agreed to a 4-year, $44 million deal, $22 million guaranteed. So good contract for him from a guy that was cut from the Green Bay Packers and basically spent 5 years there kind of playing his way up the depth chart. And, there's the possibility that Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis, maybe even Odell Beckham Jr. Will go to the Jets. Rodgers denying he thought it was ridiculous that he put out a list or put out a wish list or whatever you want to say on that subject to have guys basically play with him. So without further ado, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, cries of outrage and protest, please drop them in the chat function, and I will try to get to those and as many of those as I can as we discuss where it goes from here. Some of the other comments from the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers, and this was what surprised me a little bit, is I always thought for the most part this was about, is he going to play in Green Bay or is he going to play for essentially the New York Jets? He said he was 90% going to retire, 10% going to play when he went in the darkness retreat. And when he came out of the darkness retreat, some people that he trusts in the league informed him that the Packers seemed like they were shopping him around. And then I think, the massive, chip on the shoulder that Aaron Rodgers has been known for kind of motivated him and said, yeah, I'm going to play. And he also wishes that there was more direct communication, kind of hinted at this a few years back, between Gutekunst and Murphy and maybe LaFleur to a lesser extent of how to handle older veteran players. And he claims that this is what has come up again in this situation. Christie basically said he's old and washed up. Send them Russell Wilson, LOL. That is kind of funny. So basically, like some of the contention is that the Jets probably don't want to give up a first-round pick, especially their first-round pick this year, which is 13th overall. But I think the Packers are in a little more of a position of power because the Jets got to, get this thing over the goal line. And the Packers basically now are in a little more of a position of power that they know the Jets need to have this done so they can kind of ask for more players, more picks, more, better picks, whatever you want to say. Joshua Deutz says, so is Aaron going to play for the Jets for 1 year and then come to Minnesota for 2 years and then retire as a Packer? Kind of like Brett Favre. Joshua, I do feel I'm like the old guy on the block now that I've been here 27 years, 30 in the business, and I call this Favre 2.0 because, yes, I remember reliving and living through the Brett goes to the Jets, and then they let him have his contract, and then he goes to the Vikings, and dare I say, Kevin Seifert, a good friend of mine who writes for ESPN.com and covers the Vikings up in the Twin Cities area, he did mention that Aaron could play in 2023. And then obviously the Jets would have to release him from his contract. Like it's a 2-year deal, 2023, 2024. They would have to release him from that contract in order for this to happen. But or they'd have to trade him with the current contract. But anyways, 2024, Aaron could retire or whatever. Kirk Cousins, the Vikings could, decline his option on his contract. And then Aaron could get the itch to play again and unretire and then, show in Vikings land. That's a lot of speculation, to stick it to the Packers or whatever. But sometimes life is stranger than fiction, they say. And sometimes crazy things happen. So you just never know. I do think that this is going to be interesting because Aaron Rodgers, if he was traded last year, the Packers obviously would have gotten a king's ransom. What you saw the Broncos give up for Russell Wilson to go back to the Seattle Seahawks was nothing short of a haul. But the danger in that would have been, okay, you're trading the reigning MVP. Aaron Rodgers has won 4 MVPs and won back-to-back MVPs, and an MVP had never been traded. So that's why they came up with the contract extension last year on this same date in 2022, 3 years, $150 million. Same date. Ironic that, it was then. Don Kapanoff says, "You're the man, Lance. Good work as always." Thanks, Don. I've been down this road once or twice. This ain't my first rodeo, as I like to say. So yeah, I don't know everything, but I try to inform everybody as well as I can and just kind of ride the surfboard, as they say, with situations like this. At least, this portion of the program is we know where it's going or where it should go. The only thing I question or wonder about is, people are already on Rodgers fatigue, and this does not have to be done today, or this does not have to be done immediately. This could drag out for a while. So unfortunately, you may hear, one side kind of getting their message out there and the other side getting their truth out there, and this could go for a while. Nancy Cook Shoots says, "I don't like it when people put on Facebook saying it's official when it's not." I would agree with that, Nancy. Very, very good point. Basically, and that's why you saw the little CG graphic thing that we put on there. Is it's his intention to play for the Green Bay Packers or to play for the New York Jets, and the intention is for the Packers to trade him. But you are exactly right on that, Nancy. Is nothing is official as of yet. Nothing is done, and this could drag out for a while. There's nothing to say that the Packers. Basically, it's a $40 million cap hit if Aaron Rodgers is traded before June 1st. Well, last I checked, it's not June 1st. I'm looking out the window and I see snow on the ground, and it's March 15th. So the Packers could do this when the NFL draft goes down at the end of April. They could wait until May. They could wait until June. Now, most teams want to get their guy in there in the offseason program to learn some of the offense. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is smart enough. He knows most of Nathaniel Hackett's offense because he was with the Packers and Matt LaFleur. So it wouldn't be like a huge, take off the training wheels type process, but you still want to get your guy in there to build chemistry with the receivers, Garrett Wilson, and some of those guys that are going to be left over. But this could drag on for a while. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to cost the Packers the same amount of cap space, whether they do it today or they do it, May 22nd or whatever date you want to make up until June 1st. Ronald Lee Schweigel says, "I guess it is adios, Aaron." That would be the guess right now, Ronald, but I do agree with what Nancy said. I mean, this could be a big game of chicken where, hey, the Packers still aren't happy with the players and picks and the quality of the picks that are coming back, and they wait the Jets out for a little while because now it seems like the Packers are more in a position of power, or at least a little more in a position of power, because the Jets need this done, want this done, got to get this done. Randy Hill says, "Could Jordy really come out of retirement?" Jordy, I've had the pleasure of talking with him a couple of times. He insists that he is living on the farm. They clear the land and they build big piles of, waste wood and burn it. They have the kids out there late at night or later than they should be, going to bed and stuff like that on a typical weekday night, on the farm. And he's farming the land and he's doing what Jordy Nelson loves to do in Kansas. So I don't see Jordy coming back. But some of the other memes and some of the other social media posts were pretty funny about whether it's Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, other people coming out of retirement. It's pretty funny. Dustin Clark says both franchises know he's definitely going to be a Jet. And that is True. I think this is beyond obviously the point of no return or whatever you want to say. That Jordan Love is the future. Jordan Love is the Packers quarterback in 2023. Packers can wait this out for a little while, but Jordan Love is the guy. The Packers now obviously will pick up his fifth-year option or renegotiate with him, and if both sides are agreeable, sign him to a longer-term deal. Now Jordan Love, it might be in his best interest to play this year and show his merits and get even more money if he plays really, really well. That's probably the play on his part and his agent's part. To be honest, it's business like anything else, but I do think that is the plan. Some of the other things that Aaron Rodgers touched on, I did briefly touch on this, but he appreciates, at least he claims he appreciates direct communication, and he felt like in the exit interviews in January that there was at least some thought that maybe he could come back or whatever. And when he emerged from the darkness retreat and heard from people that he trusts, that he kind of heard, their messages to the otherwise on that front. Also, this is something for down the road. Joe Namath, guy you might have heard of, Broadway Joe, wore the number 12. That number is retired by the New York Jets. And Aaron Rodgers basically saying, we'll talk about that down the road. And Joe Namath is on record as saying he would be agreeable to letting the 12 be unretired if Aaron Rodgers wants to wear it. Jesus Fernandez says, grandpa to the Jets for his last MVP. It's possible. The Packers mantra under Ted Thompson was always they would rather depart with a player a year too early than a year too late, because when the drop happens in the NFL, it happens fast. It's such a fast league that when you fade quickly, you lose it quickly, and they would rather be a year too early than a year too late. And we saw Brett Favre. He hurt his arm with the Jets, played so-so. I think they went 8-8. But Brett's first year with the Vikings, he played lights out, and they made the NFC Championship game. He did throw a costly interception, late in that NFC Championship game, but his numbers were spectacular, throwing I think 38 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and played unbelievably well. So that there is the danger and the chance of that is a motivated Aaron Rodgers showing everybody, hey, I can still do this. And kind of sticking it to the Packers by playing well. That is a possibility. Aaron Rodgers also very animate about saying that it diminishes the person and the abilities of Nathaniel Hackett just to say that the Jets hired him just simply to try to lure Aaron Rodgers in. Now, I think my personal opinion is I think he's taken it too far. I don't think there's anything that demeans Nathaniel Hackett and his ability to do the job to say that, the Jets hired him in part, because obviously he knows Aaron Rodgers and the system and to get him there and all that stuff or whatever. But Aaron Rodgers kind of went on this tirade and on a little bit of a rant, basically saying that he thinks it's disrespectful to Nathaniel Hackett to say that he's, got the job just because he knows Aaron Rodgers, and it diminishes his ability and his quality characteristics as a human being and how great he is and how he makes practice fun and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that was the intent in any way, shape, or form. That's just my opinion, but that is what came up with Aaron Rodgers as well. So in the last little bit here, we have Robert J. Herrera Sr. saying nothing less than 2 number ones for the Packers. That may be tough to get, Robert. And I will say this, and I was kind of hinting at this, is if they were going to trade him, Brian Gutekunst and the personnel staff more than likely should have traded him last year, and they would have gotten more than this year. I think people are going to be disappointed. I'm going to call it. I'm not, basically brainwashing people or getting this thought in people's heads right away. But I do think that people are going to be disappointed in the return that they're going to get for Aaron Rodgers, because if you're the Jets and if you're Aaron Rodgers, why do you want to give up the 13th overall pick this year? Because that's a pick, and that's high enough in the top half of the draft this year that can probably give you immediate returns and immediate dividends. So is it a first round pick next year and then a third round pick or second round pick, whatever? But I don't know if they're going to get the 2 first rounders, and that might be what's holding this whole deal up. So we shall see. But I will be very curious at the compensation. I know some other names that have come up, for people who like to play the fantasy football / NFL GM game. Elijah Moore, receiver that's kind of fallen out of favor, even though he showed some great signs and great flashes in 2021. of getting deep and being a deep threat. Jermaine Johnson, good edge rusher, and keep in mind that Rashard Gary, as good as he was and as much as he was coming on last year, he's probably going to miss. I'm just guessing. He's probably going to miss training camp and miss at least half or at least a portion of the first part of the season because he's coming back from that ACL tear in his knee. So they're going to need some outside edge rushing help. Some of the players coming back, that could be quibbled about as well. I don't think the Jets would get rid of Garrett Wilson, even though he would be a difference maker. So that's why you're talking about the Elijah Moores and the Mims and the stuff like that of the world that could be available. And then do the Jets keep Zach Wilson, the quarterback that they picked second overall, or do they, include him in a deal and pawn him off? I wouldn't think that the Packers would be greatly interested in that. He would be part of the deal, not the key, part of the pin of the deal. But excuse me, that's kind of where I stand on that. So we've gone for a while here. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your questions today. Thank you for delving into this. Hopefully it doesn't take too much longer. I'm with all the rest of you. The longer this drags out, the more it gets very tiresome. I like things that are quick, cut and dried, dirty, get them done, whatever. So I appreciate that. So thank you for watching TMJ4 Sports, TMJ4.com, Facebook Live, and TMJ4 News. We will have updates throughout the day starting at 4 o'clock. Thanks for watching.